there everyone, Scapegoat Stephen back with another video match report. So today we have got a pickup game from our local Furnace Ball club night, played at the Digi Diner in Margate, Kent, UK. So we've got me continuing to try out Union, played them a little bit before the changes, then they got some really good changes, so we'll see how the game goes. This time playing into Blacksmiths. I'm playing on the right, my opponent Michael is on the left. He chose Furnace to be his captain. I'll be honest, I'm not entirely sure why actually, I didn't think to ask, but I'm going to find out in the future and let you guys know what the thought process was behind that. He has the ball and he's going to be kicking, so we've got Furnace Blacksmiths into Veteran Rage Union. We have the Blacksmiths coming down the left. We've got Half, Veteran Cinder, Faris who is kicking, Bolt, Furnace who's the captain, and Cast. Coming down the Union side on the right, you've got Grace, Gutter, Veteran Rage, Benediction, Strongbox, and Minx. So my opponent gets a pretty good scatter, doesn't want to risk a reroll, and leaves it there. So we look here about allocating our influence out. I actually give quite an even spread, obviously quite heavily onto Minx down there at the bottom. So what we're looking at here is we want to draw the Blacksmiths in and then beat them to death and get a goal if it maybe finishes the game, but we'll see how it goes. So Benediction is going to sprint and snap the ball. He's then going to pass to Minx, and actually my dice go a little unfortunate here and I miss my very first pass of the game. I do pay for the pass, I don't use Benediction's free pass, the plan being to use that later in the turn. Unfortunately it does miss, as I say, but Minx does intercept, so she does get to at least get the ball. I just don't get the momentum for it. Debates here about does he go in with Faris, but then realises it's going to end very badly for Faris. So decides to put quick foot on Bolt and then goes and sprints into cover down towards this barrier at the bottom of the screen. As you can see at the moment, he's sort of measuring out where does he want to put Faris. Does he actually want to go with Bolt first, but then he's sort of leaving Bolt to hang out to dry instead. So we'll see how that goes. So Grace will use Talisman to put quick foot on Gutter. Then she's going to jog and put quick foot on Minx as well. So that increases Gutter's threat range to a nice jog of 8, a sprint of 10 with a 2-inch melee, and does pretty much the same for Minx because she's got +1 movement but -1 melee range compared. So actually her and Gutter are pretty fast between them. Bolt, because he's got quick foot, he's going to stamina his 6 inches forward. He's then going to go for his regular 6-inch jog now because of quick foot. He has got a free character play thanks to tutelage. And he's going to throw his Shumerang at Benediction, which will hit and do 2 damage to Benediction, but will then also knock down Minx, which stops me then going in and murdering Bolt in return. With Minx, she's quite a good damage dealer in her current form. The ball does scatter just in front of Benediction, but Benediction elects not to snap the ball, basically because I don't want the ball to be dead on him for the rest of the turn. So look at, do I want to charge with Gutter into Bolt? I'm about half an inch out of jog and melee range, thanks to quick foot. So in the end I decide to sprint just to get myself further away from Vet Cinder, because I don't really want to have to deal with Vet Cinder at this stage of the game, like on the first turn. So we go in, sprint, we'll just buy a single attack on Bolt. In the end I choose the non-momentous push, just to pull him a little bit further towards my team. What I did do as well during that sprint was I did snap the ball. I then unsnap the ball behind her. Basically, there's enough ways of him getting the ball off me in this team that I'm not that fussed about having it on a model near the front lines. So next, Michael chooses to activate Furnace, and Furnace is after a bit of deciding what to do, he decides just to go for a bit of a sprint with Furnace. Decides, does he want to go all the way forward to there? Thinks better of it and backs off to the side a little bit. So I now look at Rage and I realise I forgot about Quick Time, which actually means he can get to Bolt. It does involve charging through that tiny gap that I would say by design but by accident left between both Gutter and Benediction, and he will snap the ball on the way. Now Bolt will choose to defensive stance here, so he does become a 5-1. And I managed to get a grand total of 1 net success on my 13 dice. So I do a momentous one, I get a second attack, and I choose to take the non-momentous knockdown just to lower his defence a little bit more. And then I'm going to unsnap the ball behind me again, just to try and keep it a little bit safe from cast. On that note, he does try and figure out, does he want to go in with Vet Cinder, but it is just going to be a throwing of an Impale, so he decides against it for the moment and decides to activate Cast. Cast goes for a sprint and then just does a shield throw at Gutter, hitting her for a couple of damage and a few debuffs that at this current stage aren't important. I then decide he dodges back with Cast thanks to Swifter Strikes. I then decide I'm going to activate Strongbox. I've got confidence on Minx. Yes, Minx is still knocked down, and he just goes for a jog forward, so Minx will be in that aura when she goes in to attack Bolt. Veteran Cinder will jog and throw an Impale at Gutter. Unfortunately, she misses with a double one. It's unfortunate for Michael there. Could have done with the extra damage, would have been nice. So I've got my 1 point of momentum, so Minx will clear the knockdown condition, and she will jog 9 inches thanks to Quick Foot. Now, I'm going to buy a bunch of attacks into Bolt here, and in hindsight, what I should have done was bought loads of attacks into Bolt, killed him straight as quickly as possible, got the dodges into Faris and done some more damage into her, or maybe into Cast, just to have lowered their health pools a bit for the start of next turn. But in the end, I just start buying loads of attacks, choosing low damage results to get the momentum. So we do a Momentous 1 dodge on the wrap and a Momentous 2 dodge. Then we do a Momentous 4 double dodge, followed by a Momentous 4 double dodge, Momentous 1 dodge, which kills Bolt, taking me to 2 points. I then dodge with the triple dodge off that final attack into Veteran Cinder, and I don't do anything because she's under Sentinel range. Again, maybe that was a poor choice. I then dodge backwards to engage Faris, and I think, as I said, I would have been better just throwing some attacks into Bolt and then into Faris, but never mind. So Hearth doesn't really have much choice here to do anything. She's just going to go for a sprint just to pull herself closer into the lines for next turn. And on that note, I have a clear momentum advantage. I believe I have 6 momentum, or that's because I think I forgot to take about 3 or 4 of it, and the Blacksmiths have none. The Blacksmiths are going to play Get Back In There, and I'll play Keep Your Chin Up. So obviously I want the healing, and the Blacksmiths want to get Bolt quicker into the fray. So I do make another slight tactical error here. What I choose to do when I activate, the first model I choose to activate is Rage, but I choose to Red Fury Minx first. Now, looking back on it, what I think I should have done was activated Rage's Legendary, charged Faris, then I could have always done a Red Fury attack to try and get the snared off on Faris afterwards when I got the extra gang up, and possibly that she's no longer in cover. So she's in cover at the moment, but obviously Rage has quite a few pushes. Never mind. And I get a little bit blind on it. I try to Red Fury Minx twice and fail. I only need to not roll a single one, and I fail on both of them. Again, poor idea, but I can learn from it. So we charge Faris and do a Momentous 4 and a push, which gets her out of the cover, so it's up from the Momentous 3 because of the Legendary. We then do another Momentous 4, and then we do a non-Momentous 4 with a concussion, just to get rid of that point of influence that's on her. She's out of cover, engaged by Minx. So, for the observant amongst you, you'll see I've left this lovely gap right between Rage and Minx and Gutter, and Michael's going to exploit that now with Veteran Cinder. So, he will choose to charge Gutter because she's the only one with a 2-inch melee, and he doesn't want the crowd out when attacking anyone else. So I do defensive stance and counter attack. He does get a couple of successes. He doesn't get like loads, but he gets enough to do, I think it's 3 in total. So the sweeping charge hits Gutter, Minx and Rage, which is really good because obviously not only does it apply the burning condition, but actually it also gives out Searing Strike, which removes all of their armour, which is not great for me because that means they're all defense 4 with no armour. Union models not being like, they're not super squishy, but they're not the highest. And as with everything that's got that 4-1 defensive stats, if you lower the 4 or the 1, it causes them problems. So she does a Momentous 2 to Gutter and the 3 damage to everyone else. My counterattack pushes her into melee range of both Rage and Minx to try and lower her attack value, just to basically set her up for perhaps Minx killing her. She then attacks Rage, and she takes the non-Momentous dodge to get out of Rage's and Gutter's melee, and then she'll attack Minx because Minx has got some people ganging up with her. I think she's don't think she's in cast, but she is in Faris's melee there. She gets another attack and chooses the double dodge just to get out of there, I think, so Minx can't just start wailing on her. The same for Gutter, actually. So looking at me, I look at that and think, you know what, I'm going to try and get some scything blows off. You know, if I can get 1 or 2, that changes the game massively at this stage. If I can get all 3 with all 3 of Gutter's influence, then that just becomes gold. So Gutter goes for a jog to engage Cinder and cast. Now she attacks Cinder because I've got the gang up from Minx, and we get a momentous scything blow on the first attack. I don't manage to get it on the next one. In fact, I roll pretty poorly on the next 2 attacks, so I just get a momentous 1 up to 2 and a momentous 2 up to 3 because of the legendary. I do then clear fire on Gutter because Cast is sat there with a full stack going, I like the look of you, I'm going to just punch you to death if you stay there on fire. And then we also clear the conditions on Minx for the same reason. Cast can pretty much take out one of those 2 really easily on her own if they're on fire. It becomes a little bit more dicey if they're not. So Hearth then jogs to attack Gutter. Michael rolls really poorly at this stage, but thankfully Hearth has her knockdown on 1 and he gets it. It's the only success he gets, despite having a gang up on Veteran Gutter and her being a 4-0. He chooses the momentous knockdown, he attacks Minx and gets the same thing. So, looking at this position now, I've got 2 momentum. I should have activated Minx, because Minx could have possibly killed Faris, possibly killed Cinder as well, and got me 4 points. But instead, for some strange reason, I choose to jog Benediction in, so he's ganging up on Cinder. Unfortunately, I am out of range because I didn't measure it. So he jogs and is out of his 2-inch melee. Instead, he puts Sturdy on the knockdown Minx in case she gets up for later in the turn. And again, I don't spend anything to stand her up. I leave the 2 momentum on myself. I'm not really sure why that happened. I think in the moment I just got distracted. So basically, it gives Michael the ample opportunity for Cast to jog just into a gap between, I think it's Cinder and Faris, to be able to attack Minx. So he was debating, who does he go for? Does he go for Minx? Does he go for Gutter? They're both on the same, you know, they're both 3-0. They've both got 2 people ganging up on them. So in the end, he goes in. He attacks Minx and he gets 2 gang ups, and he's also bonus times it, and he wraps to the 1. So he gets a momentous 6 and a momentous 1 damage. He then buys an attack, gets a momentous shield glare, and then he does a momentous 6 and just killed Minx. So it goes to 2-2. I lose 4 influence that was stacked on Minx there. That's a big blow for me this turn. Again, hindsight looking back, there were options I had that I didn't take. Trying to figure out why those were at this stage. Possibly because I was looking at gang ups on Cinder from Gutter, but Gutter was knocked down, needed the momentum. It was a poor tactical choice on my part, and Michael capitalised on it. And Cast Swift Strikes back just a tiny bit. So Grace jogs and puts down Healing Light to heal Gutter, thanks to Talisman, and she snaps the ball. So again, it just gives me an extra 3 health on Gutter. And again, I don't spend to stand her up. Not sure why. Furnace walks and he's going to attack Gutter. He's going to choose to do a non-momentous 3 and a momentous push. Then he's going to choose to do a momentous 1 and a non-momentous 3. You can see all the wrapping going on here. And then he's going to heal Faris for 4. Just because that stops me trivially taking her out at the top of the next turn. Strongbox is going to go for a sprint. He's got a point of influence on him, so he might as well. And then Bolt's just going to jog around thanks to his speed 6 because of the game plan card and stamina. So he's just going to decide to go over there, then go hang on, Rages over there, and decide to go that way instead. So we actually end the turn with Blacksmiths on 3 momentum and Union on 2. We play Go for the Knees for the Blacksmiths, who puts the +1 tack on Veteran Cinder, and the Union have back in the game. So if he kills one of my models, I can reallocate that influence out to someone else. So Gutter is pretty much sat there primed for death at this stage. There are 2 people ganging up on her, and Vet Cinder's got her in her melee range as well. So Gutter is not long for this world. However, To force it, I will allocate some influence to her, just because I feel that at this stage it's better to then transfer the influence to someone else if I need to. So Cinder will attack Gutter, and she'll do a momentous 6 straight out the gate, which will take Gutter out. So that puts it 4-2 in favour of the Blacksmiths. So she'll then Grim Vengeance to dodge because no one else was in her melee range, and she'll attack Rage. I do counter-attacks, he gets a bit too close with his dodge. He chooses to Impale Rage, and the counter-attack does 3 damage. She then chooses to heal herself by 4, and then does a momentous 2 to Rage, followed by a momentous 4. So Rage is not looking very healthy himself either at this stage. He does debate whether or not he throws the Impale elsewhere, actually. Like, does he throw it backwards? But actually, you know what? He's already pumped loads of damage into Rage, so it makes sense to continue that. And I think the idea of me counter-attacking here was just to try and set him up for someone else to come in and kill Cinder, whether it be Rage himself or another model, someone else on the team, like Benediction. I do reallocate the influence, when Gutter dies onto Grace. Maybe I should put it on Benediction. I thought maybe if I put it back there, I'll be able to do something useful with it, like go for a goal, but she's not quite that fast. I wish she was. So Rage will quick time himself and he'll back out of melee, and then he's going to charge Veteran Cinder. So shield defensive stance. He'll do a momentous 2. He'll heroic on himself because Benediction is engaging her. And he also has the shelling out aura on him at the moment as well. I choose the knockdown on the second attack. Then I do a momentous 5, a momentous 4, and a push, which takes her out. So it takes us to 4-4 at this stage. He then heals himself by 4. So it's 4-4. It's pretty even momentum-wise. I think we've got like 1 each, so it's not a huge amount. But there is, again, Cast is sat there on a whacking great pile of influence right now, and Rage is on fire. Again, I thought healing Rage was the better option there rather than clearing the condition. 4 extra hit points is never a bad thing. So Furnace is going to jog, she's going to stay in the cover, and she's going to buy an attack on Rage, and she does get the momentous stagger. So Rage is now a 3-1 on fire. In fact, 3-1 with Searing Strike and also on fire. Not the greatest. Benediction goes for a jog and he attacks Furnace. He gets a momentous single push to get her out of the cover, and basically set her up for Minx coming in. She's also now engaged by Rage. She does do a counter attack and gets a single push, which does push Benediction out of melee, which means he's got a spare point of influence, so he spends that to put Sturdy up on Veteran Rage. So Hearth is going to legendary at this stage to give her the 3-inch melee, so she can go engage more people. She'll buy an attack on Benediction, get that momentous knockdown, and then she'll jog to engage Rage and put Instruction on Cast. Now Cast is even more scary. She does have a lot of damage. If you can set her up well, Cast does loads of damage. So Minx jogs base to base with Furnace and attacks. So she does a momentous 3 damage dodge and also snares. Again, useful for the extra dice. She is, believe, in range of the shelling out aura at this stage. So then she does another momentous 3 dodge, and then the counter attack comes in and misses. She does a momentous 3 dodge on the third attack, and then chooses to back to the shadows after healing herself and Rage both by 4. She does take out Furnace as well, which takes us to 4-6 in favour of the Union. And I think at this stage I haven't actually healed Minx properly back to her recovery level when she came on the board, so she does seem to go down much quicker. But again, I think she would have died anyway to this next lot of attacks. Furnace sprints and attacks Minx, does a momentous 1, Searing strikes her, sets her on fire. So she's now a 4-0. She's in cover. Grace will quickfoot everyone's favourite strongbox. I'm not really sure why I did that again. Maybe that would have been better on Grace to have gone for a goal run, Never mind. She uses that via Talisman. She's then going to jog and pay for Healing Light on Minx to give her 3 extra health, just to give her some, hopefully survive the next round of incoming attacks. Bolt will then Stamina jog twice over to gang up on Minx. I jog Strongbox, but actually can't do anything at the point of influence because Furnace has got too much armour and is in cover. So I end up just sort of wasting that. Cast will then go in and buy an attack on Minx. So she gets a total of 8 net hits, and Minx is on fire. So he does a Momentous 6 up to 7, followed by a Momentous 2 up to 3 due to Burning Passion, and takes her out. So it becomes a 6-6. He's then going to jog and attack Rage, who's also on fire, and get the Momentous 3. She'll then heal herself, and she will also heal Bolt. And we're now at 6-6. Momentum wise, we're actually still quite even due to all the healing that people have done. So Blacksmiths are on 2 and Union are on 1. So you might be able to see from the clock, due to the speed at the moment, Michael's only on 45 seconds left of his turn, of his clock, whereas I'm still on 11 minutes 54. Oh no, look at the drop on the seconds as he jogs people back on. He plays fullback for the cheaper charge, and I play the one that grants me showboating. Apologies, I've forgotten the name. Then I do a really stupid thing. I jog these 2 models right on at the bottom of the map, right in front of Veteran Cinder. Again, perhaps need to get some more playtime with Union, so that I actually understand quite how they work. Although that's a really basic mistake and error to have made. I shall blame the late evening and the fact I had a headache, but that's no excuse. Should have drank more water, as we all know as wargamers. It's a bane of our existence. So Veteran Cinder charges Gutter, gets a Momentous 1 sweeping charges, both of them. She then bonus times an attack on Gutter and does a Momentous 4, which takes Gutter out. So that becomes 8-6 in favour of the Blacksmiths. Grim Vengeance attack with a bonus time, gets a Momentous Impale on Minx. She then does a Momentous 2 and takes Minx out, taking her to 10-6 for the Blacksmiths. She then ends her activation, which scores me a point because Michael is now deep into his negative 5 minutes. It's 10-7 now in favour of the Blacksmiths. So Rage is just going to charge cast. It does a Momentous 2 push. She does declare a counterattack and a defensive stance, and she does dodge, but doesn't get far enough out from the counter. Rage will then attack doing a Momentous 1, then a Momentous 3, then a Momentous 2 push, then a Momentous 2. Again, doesn't take her out, but heals himself by 4. Yeah, hopefully stays alive. Cast then heals, does a non-Momentous 1 up to 2, a non-Momentous 2 up to 3, a Momentous 2 up to 3, a Momentous 2 up to 3, and doesn't take out Rage because of all the healing Rage has been doing over the last 2 turns. Still goes up to 10-8 thanks to the clock point. Grace is going to activate. She will Talisman to heal Rage by 3. Seems like a smart move. You can probably see this is just Michael finishing off some of his dice rolls with cast. Just quite how low he is currently on clock. He's got like 10 seconds left at this stage. So Grace will heal Rage for 3 with Talisman. I think she then drops the ball and decides to go and punch cast in the off chance she might kill her. She manages a Momentous 2, a Momentous 2 and a non-Momentous 1 because her final attack wraps. Who'd have thought Grace would be digging in, dealing damage, but not enough. Bolt activates, does nothing, scores me a point, takes it to 10-9. Benediction will go for a jog. He'll do nothing. Faris does nothing, goes to 10-10. Strongbox does nothing, and Michael clocks out, leaving it as a 12-10 win to the Union.